Call to order the regular meeting on Monday, April 8th, 2024 at 6 p.m. At this time, if you'll stand for invocation, and Commissioner Morris is going to.
Let's pray. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings you've given us. We ask you for strength, guidance, and wisdom as we do the county's business tonight. We ask that you be with those who are in turmoil around the world, in various wars and situations. These things, God, we ask you in your most gracious name. Amen.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a motion for the approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions or any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. All in favor carries. At this time, we have a public hearing. And before I go into the public hearing, is there anybody that wants to talk that is not signed up to speak? Thank you. Public hearing is for the resolution of intent declaring the intent to sell, lease, or convey Stokes Reynolds Memorial Hospital. Per North Carolina General Statute 131E-13, a public hearing shall be conducted on the resolution of intent not less than 15 days after its adoption. The Board of Commissioners adopted the resolution of intent at the regular meeting on March 11th, 2024. All interested people will be heard. And I'll give one last shot if somebody does want to come up to the public hearing. Otherwise, I will close it. All right, the public hearing is closed due to no one wanting to comment at 6:02 p.m. Now at this time we move to public comments, and we don't have anybody signed up for the regular public comments either, correct?
Correct. Yeah, no one signed up.
So at this time, we'll also close the floor for public comments at 6:03 p.m. At this time, I'm going to read the conflict of interest. Before moving further, does any board member have a conflict of interest with any items on the agenda for tonight, or one that could be perceived as a conflict of interest? Nope. Nope. Okay, can I get a motion for...
Did you want to do the commissioner's comments?
I'm sorry, I did.
No, go on past.
Who wants to start the commissioner comments out?
I'll start.
Okay, go ahead, Keith.
Thanks everybody for coming tonight. It's good to see a good crowd. I want to thank Soil and Water for honoring the farmers. The Farmers Appreciation Dinner last week was awesome. The food was great. And I want to personally thank Patty Dunlap with the Historical Society for giving me a tour Friday of your museum, which I'm embarrassed to say I hadn't done in years, and it's first class now. They've done a lot of work. You need to go see it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I just thank everybody for being here and those watching online. And like Commissioner Wood said, the Farmers Appreciation Dinner was really good, and a big crowd there, and it's just an honor to get to appreciate them and show them the appreciation that night. And I'm so glad they do that event, and sounds like I need to go to the historical museum. We'll do that. Add it to my list. But thank you all. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to welcome everybody to our meeting tonight. It's great to have a big crowd here. Hope everybody enjoyed the thing with the moon today. I couldn't see it, so hopefully somebody did. And I think that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Oh, one thing, let me do say that the Farmers Appreciation thing was really good, and every time I go, it gets bigger. So I don't know what they're doing to make guess free food brings folks out for one thing. Free food and music, so. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mendenhall?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate it. I always say that it is an honor for the citizens, to me, to come out to our meetings and participate in local government. Everybody that's watching online, thank you very much. First, I do want to address the Farmers Appreciation. That's the first one I missed in about 13 years. And I hated missing that one. We used to have it at North Stokes. I think we had it at my 7 years as principal. I think we had the Farmer Appreciation Meal there 6 times, and now it's been going at South Stokes some. And I just really hate I missed it. So to all the soil and water, USDA, everybody that takes part in that, I just want to say I have heard nothing but great things again. Food is always good. Food does draw people out, but Stokes County, as most of, if you are from Stokes County, you know that Stokes County was built as a farming county. Started way back with tobacco farming, and then corn, soybeans, so many things have come on in now. And to all the farmers in Stokes County, I just want to say we thank you for the job you did. You do a very good job, and I think that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks. Real quick, welcome everybody. It's nice to see the chambers being full. I was hoping to hear some comments, but I appreciate everybody being here, especially for the support for the hospital. That's great. And the hospital is a great component of our community here in Stokes County. And so it's nice to see that we have that interest level in the hospital. I want to make a quick comment on the Child Abuse Prevention Month. I went to that last Friday, DSS. We had a very good turnout. A lot of dedicated employees and a lot of dedicated speakers. The one thing that I always like, and it's always, I think it means more when you look at things that are actually working, is they had a speaker there that was a mother that was in the system. In other words, that she just hit rock bottom and went to the Department of Social Service for help, and along with DSS and some of the other community resources that we have, she's on a road to recovery and on the road to being a great mother. Not that she never wanted to be a great mother, but she just couldn't get over some things and turned to substance abuse. And then, of course, the big thing that goes on in communities just like ours is that part of the way that she fell into that hole was because she came from a house that didn't have the proper support. And even though she swore up and down that she would never be like that family that she was raised in, she ended up went down that same rabbit hole. But give it to her, and it just means so much more for her to stand up and tell her story. And it shows that we do have the resources, and if the people just take advantage of the resources and get them in the program, and then you got to keep giving the support as they follow through. That's what we got to try to figure out. Is there is success, we just got to find out to keep that support going and to make sure these people stay to where they get to the point to where they're totally a viable, productive family member and community member. So again, thanks for everybody for being here. and we'll get on with the agenda. I'm assuming nobody's had a conflict of interest in the 10 minutes, so when I read that.
Nothing's come up.
Okay. All right, so can I get a motion for the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Motion carries. Now we're going to the information agenda. And we're going to have the department first quarter reports for 2024. And I'll turn it over to,
Sure, so I can give a brief summary. We've introduced quarterly reports for departments starting with this calendar year, 2024. We did an annual report for 2023 for the first time in a while. So this is the quarterly reports that will be starting. And in the sake of time and in the interest of the departments and the commissioners and the public's time as well, all quarterly reports will be done for departments every quarter, but only a handful of them will present each quarter. So everybody will have a turn in the year to present, and they'll present their normal annual reports or whatever they typically do. But this quarterly report would be presented in addition to that. So we're just going to take turns doing that. So we have a selection of 4 departments today that will be doing that. And they are listed on the agenda, which ones will be going first, starting with HR.
Jamie, you want to come up?
While she's coming up, quick question.
Yeah.
These reports are going to be available to the public, right?
Yeah, well, yes, they're on the agenda, but we can post them on the website. So we'll find a good location for them on the website too.
Yeah.
Good evening.
How are y'all?
Good.
I meant to print off copies for everybody, but I'm guessing y'all have them in front of you of the reports that I gave to Amber. So, just a brief overview. I'm not going to go over everything in every little detail, but I did want to say that the first quarter this year has been exciting. We've had a lot of changes. We had a lot of retirements at the end of last year, so of course we had a lot of shoes to fill and a lot of vacancies for folks that had been here for a while. So we did had a lot of that going on at the beginning of this year, and then of course the implementation of our new HR and payroll software. So we are now completely moved away from GEMS and into Paylocity for our HR and payroll services. We tied up our implementation. We finished that up the first week of March, so we had our first payroll by ourselves without our hands being held by our implementation team at Paylocity this past payroll, and it went very smoothly from what we can tell. There are still a few issues that we're seeing with the system, and it's not in the payroll and HR side, it's in the timekeeping side, but we're working those kinks out each day. So, and I think a lot of it comes with how unique and complex Stokes County is for the Paylocity system. I think a lot of times when folks use a system like this, they're used to working a set schedule of 8 to 5 or something like that. So we've got 30 different departments on 15 different payroll policies, and we've got 21 different accrual schedules for our employees. So it's very complex in how it's very different for each and every employee. Not everybody's the same when you're looking at it from that perspective. So that's what we're working out now, and we're getting there, and I feel good about it. So like I said, we're getting more and more happy with Paylocity each day. We're also getting ready to move into open enrollment for our employees, which means that we've been having meetings with our broker. And this year we have moved with Crescent Health Solutions as our TPA and PPO for the 24-25 plan year. I did meet with Cypress, and we met with 5 different TPA groups. We had Zoom meetings. We were able to narrow that down to 3 different groups, and then we brought the county manager in, and we went to the Winston office and met with the 3 finalists that we had met with, and we decided to go with Crescent Health Solutions. They're TPA based out of Asheville, North Carolina, and they have a lot of experience working with self-funded agencies. They've partnered with us and they've developed a 3-year plan to control our health spending and integrate cost savings programs that we already have in place. What that means is they're going to provide what we need for people. Like, for so long we've been we're self-funded, so of course we pay our health insurance claims, and we don't have anybody managing those claims. So we don't know, and our finance team don't know how much this procedure costs versus this procedure. So now we're going to have like a claims manager to look at each and every one of our claims that our employees are encountering, to know, is our employees paying what they should be for this medication? Are they paying what they should be for this MRI? And having somebody managing those claims and seeing what costs we're actually paying compared to what we've been paying in the past, they're going to be able to provide us with that information as well, so that way we can see the cost savings that we're going to encounter as we switch into this program. Another thing that they're going to help us with is being able to determine where our employees need to go and being able to have those employees go to where they need to be seen at the most affordable rate for us. So if it's something that we can handle, in-house, we're going to have a nurse specialist assigned to a lot of our employees that have those unique underlying conditions, and be able to provide them with the health and the services that they need for them specifically. And we're hoping they can save us money with that as well. So one of my major topics of conversation when I met with these folks was that I really wanted to be able to get our rates lower for our employees who carry their spouse or family members on their health insurance. And it's not something that can be done overnight, but if we can hopefully start saving money more and more each year by having these claims managers looking at what we're paying for prescriptions and what we're paying for hospital services, if we can see a great deal of cost savings, then hopefully we can get those premiums lowered for those employees that do carry dependents or family members on their health insurance. And like I said, open enrollment's coming up in May, so I'm sure I'll be back in here with our team from Cypress to go over a lot of that information as well. Another program that we've implemented this year is called the Samaritan's Fund Program. I don't know if y'all have heard about this, but they're designed to help people with severe medical diagnosis who encounter high claims costs each and every year. So we opened this program up for all of our employees, and they had to go through an eligibility process. And the last I heard, I think we've had 6 people apply for the program. I haven't heard back yet if anybody is truly qualified or not. What that will do is these participants will be able to go into the Samaritan's Fund policy, meaning they'll find an individual policy that fits that specific employee and what their severe medical diagnosis is. In turn, they would come off of the county's health insurance plan to go on to this. But the Samaritan Fund also has the funds available to help these employees pay for their prescriptions and any travel that may be necessary for some of the things that they may have to undergo. Any questions about the insurance? I was going to move on to the statistical data.
One Jamie, is it? We signed up for 3 years, a 3-year contract with them, or do we look at it each year?
We're looking at it each year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they've given you a 3-year plan.
They gave us a 3-year plan. We didn't sign a 3-year contract. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. For the statistical data, so I've got 3 different charts broken out for the labor cost. And the first one, that first chart is the hours submitted on the time card. So this includes your regular time, your overtime, and any accrued leave that employees are getting paid for those pay periods in that first quarter. The second graph that's on there, this is the labor cost breakdown of all your Social Security, Medicare, SUI, and FUTA. And then that third graph on there, that is the labor cost breakdown for any additional funds that the county, or things that the county does pay for, which is your medical, your dental, your term life policy, and then your 401k and retirements. And then we're going to go on down to employee turnover. and this has been since January the 1st. So, and this does not include this is just through the end of March. So, social services, we had 8 employees leave. EMS, we had 7. The jail, there's 6. Sheriff's Department, 3, and then 1 in emergency communications, animal control, solid waste, environmental health, and parks. And I will say a lot of those employees did go from a full-time to a part-time position for one reason or another. They may not have fully left the county. And then, of course, we've had the job postings this year for tax, DSS, environmental health, emergency communications, senior services, EMS, animal control, health department, and then administration. And I will say a lot of those at DSS, it says that we've had 6 vacancies, but we did have some carryover from last year. So that's not including those as well that carried over from last year that were positions open that hadn't been filled yet. And then when we look at why employees are leaving Stokes County, for those employees that did fill out the exit questionnaire or did come to an exit interview with our department, was 20 out of 24 employees who voluntarily resigned. We had 3 that left for a new career path, 1 due to upper management, 2 for retirement, 4 for more money, 2 for less stress, and 3 for health reasons. And then if we're looking at employee tenure, we currently have 32 employees eligible for retirement with 20 plus years of service. We have 19 employees eligible with 25 or more years of service. And then we have 6 employees who have 30 plus years of service with the county. Any questions?
Mr. Randolph, do you have any?
Yes. Jamie, thank you very much. Especially, I appreciate the last 3 categories that you broke down for us. I do have a couple questions. I don't know if you can answer them off the top of your head. The first posting that you got is your quarter 1 2024 job postings, which was a total of 21, which was, of course, January, February, and March. You've got the number of postings. Do you happen to know off the top of your head, out of those 21 postings, how many have been filled?
Oh, right now I think we have 6 open positions right now.
Filled 15 and 6 left. Okay, thank you. That's very helpful to me. And I tell you, one thing I really like that you did is the employee tenure. That's being very proactive. It sort of gives us good direction on how many people may be in the next few years. I like the way you've got it broken down, 20, 25, and 30 years. So we know that we've got 6 employees with 30 or more years of service, so we know we're probably looking at those 6 soon.
Right.
Retiring.
Right.
And I like the way you've broken that down, so thanks for that. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Moore?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jamie, out of that list of retarees, do you know how many are going this year? Are you keeping up with that, or have I
I'm
told you?
keeping up with the ones that are telling me.
Is it going to be a lot of them, or?
I don't think there'll be very many that I know of this year.
Okay.
There's not many that I know of. I do know within the next 3 years, we have several that we need to be proactively seeking, long-term plans for that department.
Okay. On the 24 people that left, is it 24? Have you got a way of calculating what the turnover percentage is? I mean, what would you use, like for the denominator, full-time employees?
Yeah, so we do it by department, or I can break it down by department, or I can break it down by county as a whole. And I can do that next time. Paylossi actually figures it up and comes up with these graphs for us. So it had it by percentage, and I just put it by people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious. This is a quarter. This is the first quarter, 24.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that times 4, that's a pretty good number, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, on the last thing I have is on these other charts you did, the labor cost and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
What should that tell us as far as comparison to? Is this going to be our baseline, this first one you've done, and then we see if we go up or down, or is there another baseline out there somewhere we can compare it to?
Yeah, that was my intentions because this is, like I said, this is information that we have available to us that we haven't in the past. So it was something I was just playing around with to see what I could use and what I could use to compare it with moving forward. I was interested to see because I've never seen the breakdown as far as what we're paying for employee benefits like that. That was one thing I was looking at.
Okay. It'd be good if I don't know how you could compare it to similar counties or something to see if we're doing good or bad or in the middle or whatever. But
Right.
anyway, if you and Amber figure out some way to either make this the baseline or see if there's something else already out there we can compare these two.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Jamie, isn't it great to have the right software to work with? Just tell the whole world right now.
Well, in a lot of ways, it is very great. I know there are a lot of employees that are probably shaking their fingers at me right now, and some of these department heads, but we're getting there, and I think they're going to like it. And but like I said, we're getting there. But
I loved your report.
thank
Good
you.
job.
Yeah, I did too.
Good report, very thorough, a lot of good information for us to digest. But and I'm glad you've got the new software, and I know it's hard to teach old dogs new tricks, but it's going to be good, I think, and I think it's going to be very beneficial, and it'll give us even more information because you'll be able to get reports and things very easily from Paylocity. So I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, like once we can fully get in there and use it to what it's capable of doing, I think we'll all be very happy.
Great report. It's very refreshing, again, to seeing reports coming out that are detailed and they're collective. And I get that that a lot of the departments, it's just another layer of work. It's just reporting there just hasn't been a lot of accountability here in the past. And I think that we continue to hear that, hey, we want employees laid off. We don't want to pay our employees. And what I say is our employees are important, and we do need to pay our employees from day one. We also have to train them. And I think that we spend so much time looking day to day instead of looking in the future a little bit. And we've started to do that, and these reports will certainly help us. And it should help the department heads too, because when you're managing day to day, you're just putting out fires. You're not looking ahead to see what's coming down, what's coming down the road. You're not looking at technology is changing so fast and so quick, and that somebody's got to keep their eye on the ball to make sure that at least we're in the area. And technology affects so much in public safety. There's so much good stuff out there right now, even though we've made strides in last year's budget, the current year budget that we're in, to give them some of that equipment. But we're so far behind that we're even farther behind with the technology in the past 3 to 4 years even that's even come out that can make us more efficient and give our deputies and give our firefighters and give our EMS people a safer field to play when they're out there doing their work. My only real question is what, in your opinion, because what I hear, other than the competitive pay, but a big part is on the health insurance, is that if you have a family, that it's outrageous. That's just what, the employees are saying. And they look for, other avenues of relief. Is there any way that you think that there are any kind of possible plans that, I know it costs money, but to try to target that area of the family plan.
Yeah, I do have a couple of ideas, and I've ran it across with my broker and with Crescent. I don't want to say it out loud now, but in the coming months, we do have a couple of things that we're looking at in order to be able to get those premiums down or have other options for our employees that do carry dependents or family members on their health insurance. Only because there are a ton of folks that leave to go to neighboring counties because they may have to pay $50 a month for their health insurance, but they're okay with that because they can afford to put their family on there. Versus we have one employee with their family on our health insurance because it's $1,500 a month. It's outrageous.
And I think that, part of what we have to look at is, attracting and retaining a good workforce. And it's not just in itself, it's a combination of stuff. It's not just money, although money does play a big part in it. But if you're not trained, or if you feel like that you're not being treated right, then that comes into play too. And I know that you're just you're new in your new position as a director, and I mean you've got you and one other staff member, and again your tentacles run throughout the whole county government. Everything from orientations to discipline to grievances to recruiting to posting. I mean, how do you, I mean, two people in an office doing all that. I mean, how do you guys even take time off? Or how do you guys even go to school?
We don't. I mean, we don't. Like, I would like to. And then every time I take off, I tell Amber how bad I feel for taking off, and I take work with me. It's a lot. It is a lot, and there's a lot of things that we're not doing. I'm not going to say like we should be doing, but there's a lot of things that we're not giving our full attention to that we should be giving full attention to because we don't have the time to. And I hate to say that, and I hate to admit it, but it's hard.
Well, I appreciate you and the assistant HR director, Donna. I appreciate everything that you all do. Just one last thing is just make sure that anything that we can do that may not involve money, that we as an organization, and I'm kind of talking to the manager too, that the organization can do to make them feel valued. And we've talked about it before, kind of what our longevity program, should be like, and some of the things that the people that do good work need to be recognized. And gosh darn it, I know people are doing good work. But and it's not just in every organization. You get so busy with the bad stuff that you don't recognize the good stuff. And every day, when I'm out and about and I talk to people out there, I hear things. I mean, I hear bad things too, but I hear a lot of good things. But the important thing is I tell them, hey, make sure you call down to whatever department they work in, like to the sheriff, or to contact HR, somebody, and to make sure that the word gets back to the supervisors and to the employee. So just keep up the good work.
Can I just finish it up? Are you about?
I'm done.
Finished.
Finished.
I just want to say to Jamie, this is my 8th year. I started in 2016, and this goes to all the commissioners. I'm sure Rick's very aware of it. The others may not be as aware. My first month, I came in 2016 when I was elected. First thing that I went around to all the department heads, went to different people, health insurance was the number one thing that was causing issues for our employees, was the cost of health insurance. Jamie, if you can find a solution to improve that, our employees would be tremendously grateful. And the other thing is I'm gonna say this because I know how important it is. And I think Commissioner Cox, everybody in this room does. Our chairman brought up about going places and getting information. Let me tell you something, and this goes to Amber too. In-service and professional development is so important, because if you do not keep up, you don't go to crucial meetings on professional development and service, it'll pass you by. Where you're standing right now, you'll be 3 months behind if you don't go to your professional development meetings. And I know that's saying, hey, there's only 2 of us and it's hard for us to get out to, but if you've got a big professional development, I'd go to Amber and say, hey, Amber, this meeting here is very important. I need to go to keep us up to where we need to be. So I just want to say professional development and service is so important. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have Jason Perry for the elections report. How are you, Jason?
Hey, good evening. Push this back up again. So we had an election in the first quarter, as you're probably aware. We had the first primary on March 5th. I call it the first primary because now we have a second primary or a runoff on May 14th. And so my report details, it's a fairly detailed list of the processes and tasks that we undertake to conduct an election. So we start more or less, actually going back to the last quarter, I guess, but December of last year, we had 19 local candidates who filed for office in the Board of Elections office here in our county, in Danbury. That's a pretty high number, I think. We also implemented the photo ID requirement. It was the first election we had where it was a county-wide requirement. Of course, it's a statewide requirement. And then, any questions you may have as we go through this or at the end about some of the more detailed aspects of this, but we do pre-election testing on the voting equipment. It's a pretty big logistical operation, as you might imagine. 3 early voting sites, 18 election day sites, 23 early voting workers. We had 100 election day poll workers. Of course, what comes with that is, life happens and people drop out, can't work. We add new people, they drop out. It's an ongoing process. And it's myself and my deputy director full-time in the office, and then we also have a couple of temporary part-time workers as well. I have a 5-member board that I like to say I have 3 bosses. And basically, I have my board members, I have county administration, and then I have the state board of elections. And North Carolina operates kind of under a centralized approach, a top-down approach to elections administration. So a lot of the directives that we get come from the state board of elections. I think there are some states where individual counties make their own decisions, so to speak, but we have a more uniform approach here in North Carolina, which I think serves us well. A couple of things I tried to do differently, or one thing in particular, I tried to make better use of the county's Facebook page to reach voters. So Amber I appreciate her. I've sent her information starting with the candidate filing, and then things like photo ID, things of that nature, early voting, election day, of course, and I appreciate her posting that information on the county's Facebook page. I have considered starting a Board of Elections page, but then that may happen later down the line. But I think the county's page has 4,000 likes or follows or whatever the case may be, whatever you call it. And I think there'd probably be a lot of crossover between the two. So I just took advantage of what was already there. So various aspects, it's kind of putting a puzzle together is the way I think of an election. So you've got the absentee, early voting, election day, et cetera, et cetera. So we had the absentee mail-ins. We sent out about 180, got 120 back. That's, I sort of looked at a couple of previous primaries. That's sort of in line with those elections. And I also provided some statistics from this election. So we had 10,666 voters total. 3,700 of those were early, and then we had mail-ins and what are called provisional voters. That was a turnout of 32.89% of the county's voters, which by primary terms is kind of in line with what we've seen from elections are cyclical, so turnout tends to be higher during presidential years, even if it's not the November election that a lot of people pay attention to. In the primary, the turnout tends to be a little bit higher as well. So again, that's kind of more or less in line with what we saw in 2020. Then 2022, we had about 24.9% overall turnout. And I made note in my report also, we had 10,666 ballots that were cast, and we had voter history for 10,666 voters. So that's a point of emphasis in my training classes. My method of training is to say the same thing many times and hope it sinks in one of those times. And so one of the points of emphasis is we want essentially the number of ballots that went through a machine. We want that to equal how many voters we've had. So those numbers equaled out for this one. You know, human beings sometimes make mistakes, things occur, but we're usually, in this case, this year we were right on it, and we usually come within 1 or 2 or 3, I would say. Also, post-election day tasks, I made note of that. So the results on election night, I like to say, are unofficial, and then there are additional tasks that have to be completed after election day until the results have become official. So I detail some of those. I made some additional notes about some other things we did during the quarter as well. Had a tabletop exercise that was beneficial. Again, it was organized by the State Board of Elections. Went over to the new facility that Brandon and the EMS folks have at the Autumn Square building. Took advantage of that location, and we had a tabletop exercise going over some different emergency scenarios. Scott Scott Aaron, fire marshal, was there, and additional EMS personnel, and also my deputy my deputy Cindy and I went there. It just had different scenarios that we obviously hope don't occur, but I'll give you an example. One was what if white powdery substance is found on election day in a voting booth? You know, how would we handle that? So again, we hope it doesn't come to that, but if we do, we talk through the different scenarios. And it also provided a good jumping off point to maybe some situations that may be more likely to occur. So that was, again, helpful. And then we did some other typical tasks, processing voters, as you might imagine. In a lead up to an election, we tend to have more registration forms that come in, more change of party affiliation, things of that nature, so we were processing those. We continued work, or I say we, I'm not really doing it, but it's the folks down at the old bank building. That work continues. I think we're looking hopefully to be in there maybe June or July. With the presidential coming, that's kind of when it has to be, I think, so that's what we're aiming for. So that progress continues. And then myself and my deputy director and some of my board members also attended a statewide training course, conference, in February in Concord, so those are held again. State Board of Elections holds those statewide conferences, and we go to those a couple of times depending on the election cycle, but we go before an election essentially. So we'll be going to another one later this year. And just the last note there, we're beginning preparations for the second primary, the runoff, which is for state lieutenant governor, Republican, and state auditor, Republican. Not anticipating a particularly large turnout for that election based on the second primaries that I've experienced here in the past, but we go through some of the same steps to prepare for those. That's all I have.
You got any questions? I have a couple. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the absentee ballots, does everybody that gets one of those request it, right? They have to request it. It's no other way that would go to them.
Right, yes, either they request it themselves as the voter or a family member, for instance, can request it. And then when they return the ballot, they have to sign and get a couple of witnesses.
Okay.
There's actually a photo ID component to the mail-in as well.
Okay.
So,
I noticed there were like 40 that requested them but didn't vote, right? Is that normal that you'd have?
yeah, I
that
looked
number?
at the 2022 we sent out for the primary, 156 and got back 110. And the 2020 primary we sent out 138 and got 107 back. So that's
okay.
approximately, yeah.
Maybe a little better, actually. Next question I have is, what's the process locally for purging the voter rolls to make sure they're accurate? What do you guys do on that? I think you mentioned it in here somewhere, but is there, in like how often or to have confidence in that from a voter integrity standpoint?
Yeah, it's some different ways. We have an intranet website where we get from Department of Health and Human Services, the state DHHS. We get monthly lists of deceased voters. That list also, there's also from Department of Corrections, we get a list of individuals who have been convicted of a felony, and then we remove those. The statewide system, computer system, I'm not sure the details, but IT in the background, they remove some voters as well when a voter moves from one county to another. The intranet site that I mentioned also has a list of potential duplicates, so we can research to determine if somebody moved from Stokes County to Forsyth, for instance. We can look at the information from Forsyth County to try to determine if it's the same voter, and I can reach out to someone at the Forsyth County Elections Office to get the voter registration to see if the signature looks the same, things like that. I also, quite a while back, reached out to the funeral homes in the county and provided them with a notice of deceased voter form and just asked them if they would provide that in the packet for the loved ones, whatever is provided to the family, to potentially send that to us as well. And so we get a fair number, I think from that as well. So those are a few of the ways.
That state training that you guys go to, is voter integrity been a big subject recently, or is anybody talking about additional things to ensure voter integrity? Or
yeah, I mean, there's a wider range of topics. I'm not. I think for our purposes, it's sort of the chain of custody that we deal with in elections. The various security, the seals, I guess it's sort of reiterating or training on just what we do on our side of things in terms of testing of the voting machines, post-election audits that we conduct, things of that nature.
Okay. That's all I have. Fox?
I don't have any questions. It's a good report. Making me relive that whole election stuff. I may have bad dreams tonight. Thank you. Appreciate your hard work. I know it's a lot.
Commissioner Wood?
Was there any issues with the voter ID first time use?
No, we do have, again, I keep saying statewide. There's a photo ID exception form, so if somebody does show up to vote, it indicates a reason that they. The short answer is no. It went pretty smooth. Is that all you want to know? Okay. There are details to everything, but no, there wasn't any. I didn't get any reports back of any widespread issues or really any issues. So maybe here or there. So.
Mr. Mendenhall?
Thank you for keeping me alert over here. Couple things, and sounds like you're on top of it now, Jason, and I want to say thank you because purging of the roles that Commissioner Morris brought up, I actually had to deal with that, and I appreciate y'all getting that is now been taken care of. My father passed away and about 12 years ago, and as I went to vote in the next two elections, he was still on the roll, and his name was James Robert Mendenhall, and mine is James Ronald Mendenhall, and both of our names were on the roll. And so I asked a couple of times about that, and this last time his name had been removed. So I appreciate it. Makes me know that y'all are getting a little more on that, because you don't ever want, when your dad passes, you don't want anybody to be able to just come in and say, hey, my name's James Robert Mendenhall and I want to vote. There was no photo ID then, like it is now. So I want to make sure of that. And I did have someone ask me, so I'm going to ask you because I don't know the answer. As far as the election goes, and had someone ask if something to the area of if someone wanted to, and I think what got their interest up was the election in Walnut Cove, where I think Mr. Jarvis was a write-in candidate, I think. Is that correct?
Yes.
He did not actually sign up. He just came in. I had someone ask me about a write-in person if their name wasn't on the ballot in primary. They wanted to know, is there a process that their name could be put on the, not put on the ballot, but be a write-in candidate in November?
There is, yeah. There are a couple of separate things for a nonpartisan race like Town of Walnut Cove or King or Danbury are. There are automatically write-in lines on the ballot, so that was that. But when it's a partisan contest like we'll have this November, there's a petition process. So I think it's a pretty low number of signatures that they have to get of Stokes County voters. I want to say 100 or maybe 200, but if they wanted to contact me and get, there's particular forms that they would need to fill out to begin the process, and then they just need to get a number of county voters to sign.
I could get that person to call you, and they could, you would explain the process to them. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Excellent report. It was good reading it, and I think you hit all the right details and everything. So keep up the good work, and thanks again.
Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
Next up is Public Works Report, Stuart Easter.
Good evening.
Stuart.
How are y'all?
Good.
All right. Just going to kind of touch on hit the high spots here on this report. The public buildings first quarter. It was a total of 129 work orders, and that's between most all the public buildings. That number's kind of deceiving. We get a lot of phone calls between all of us that says, hey, can you come do this, can you come do that, that this was just numbers here that where they actually sent one in to the work order email that I keep a record of. One of the biggest things we did this past quarter is we did new paint floors that was added to the old EMS headquarters building located at 106 Old Church Street, and we're going to relocate some DSS staff to that building. They're going to utilize the upper level, and we actually started moving those folks today. We moved 4 people today to that new office, and it's turned out really nice. It looks really good, and I think they're going to enjoy that space. I know Stacy's going to appreciate it because she's running out of room currently. Maintenance built and installed some new cabinets for the new EMS headquarters that we moved to Autumn Square, along with some new plumbing that was installed for that move, and we changed all the lights over there to LED. My custodians last month down at the SOC building located in Walnut Cove, we stripped and waxed all the floors in that building, and it's probably been nobody new since it was done last. So they really did need it, and I appreciate them for all the hard work that they done down there and getting those floors stripped and waxed, and the maintenance guys helping them move all the furniture. The storage shed that was located at EMS station number 5 here in Danbury, which is above the hospital, we got it demoed last month for the anticipation of relocating the helipad, and the helipad is going to be relocated to that area because we're anticipating doing a parking lot where the helipad is located now in front of the probation building when we get to the government center addition. So that kind of ties all that together. HVAC control equipment's ordered for the jail. Some of it's come in, some of it's not. We're getting rid of all the old pneumatics on all that equipment and getting it all turned over to digital. So that's going to be a plus. Hoping that we can get some more comfort over there instead of this hot and cold from one day to the next. DOT is set to pave Autumn Square this summer. We give them the green light on that, and they're set to grade and pave the new site that we're going to do up on the hill across from probation. As far as the parks go, or the park, Moortalk, staff's got it cleaned, got the grounds ready for the summer activity, and the restrooms have been opened. I was down here actually yesterday riding around looking just at different things, and there was a few people at the park yesterday. So the people are utilizing it. And I want to remind everybody, please remember that the new Dan River access is open on Pitzer Road. I know we opened it up last year, but just remind everybody that it is open, and we, the Public Works Park staff, is keeping a check on the trash over there and keeping the grounds clean, mowed, and weed-eated. Danbury Water, we're hopeful that the construction on the new water line here in Danbury will start this fall. DEQ is real close to approving the plans, depending on how the easements go. That in itself is kind of a chore, getting some of these easements signed. When you pull up in the county truck, people see it, and the first thing out of their mouth is no. So we'll get there.
I think you're from the tax department.
Yeah, it's just no. So, but we're getting there, and I'm hoping we can get started on this project this fall. Solid waste. I think y'all got the paperwork and you've seen the reports here on what we have on traffic count and tonnage. I can read over all of this if you like, but I'm open for questions if you have any. And I just want to say I appreciate all of what our Public Works employees do. We've got some good people that show up day in and day out, and they work hard and don't complain. Some do and some don't, but we've got some good people, and I appreciate what they do. And there's some of them that's dedicated, and I don't have any trouble. It's just a good group of people.
Questions?
No, good report, thank you.
Just one, Stuart, where's the new helipad going?
At the, on the hill above the hospital, beside the EMS station number 5.
Okay,
There was a storage building. Remember the little red?
yeah,
Yep, we've tore it down.
okay.
And I've had Air Care up here. Me and Brandon's talked to them 2 or 3 times. They're on board with it. It's good. They visited the site. It's a-okay to them.
Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Good report, though. Like all 3 of them have been really good so far, so.
Commissioner Wood?
One quick question on the Danbury water lines. Is that going to be self-perform or go out for bids?
Go out for bid.
I got a question on the Greenbox traffic count. Is that the transfer station that's listed? Is that Sizemore Road?
Yes, it is.
It's a good report. I appreciate all this information.
Thanks.
Excellent report. Not to catch you in surprise or anything, but real quick, and don't have to be long. In your opinion, what is the worst building that we have right now that you're having to?
I've got 2 on my list.
Well, I said one. All right, go ahead and give me 2.
The old school and the old courthouse is the 2, in my opinion, is the worst.
Not a surprise.
Hey, wow, I would have never guessed that.
The old courthouse, I actually had a talk to a roofing contractor about trying to put something maybe this year in the budget. He didn't even want to talk about it. He said, no, we're not interested. No, we don't even want to talk about it. Yep. But yeah, those 2 are at the top of the list. I would love to vacate those if we could.
Thank you. Great job. Next up is emergency services. Hello, Brandon.
Evening.
All right, so y'all, all of you have a copy.
We do.
We do, yeah.
But April 1st, 1974 is when EMS started here in Stokes County. We're celebrating our 50 year. Last week, been very good. A lot of big changes over 50 years. Just amazing. Chad Tucker of Fox 8 come to the office today, interviewed 2 of the originals and myself. So there'll be a little something on later in the week on Channel 8. But it was just nice to hear some of them stories of how it started and where we are now. It's big difference. First quarter been busy. We've, everybody knows we moved to the new location. Officially got that done. Got the supervisors moved in, the sprinkler system done, and their quarters downstairs. We have monthly administration meetings with our supervisors, and also our continuing education. We do, each shift comes 8 hours each quarter, or it's 1 shift per quarter. They come for 8 hours. We do that every month, totaling 24 hours of training this quarter. Of course, worked on the EMS and emergency management budget that's been submitted. Multiple interviews for part-time, full-time openings. We had all of our heart monitors had their yearly service done in February, along with our ventilators with the vendor we use for them. We've had several planning meetings about our 50th anniversary the last couple months, getting ready for the this Saturday's celebration we're having for the retired staff and current staff. And our community paramedics, we got the 3rd one hired to move it to 24 hours. Started medication assisted treatment training. Dr. Nelson done with them. Went live with that March 1st. As of right now, we've not induced anybody with Suboxone. We've offered it to several at this time. All been declined, but we're still putting that out in the community, try to get that in the hands of the people that want the help. We've done some more boards with some of our new paramedics after their 3 to 6 months times to get them cleared as a solo paramedic where they can work independently by themselves. Daily, our patient care reports get quality management done daily. Each supervisor has a day. Renee and the community paramedics
all read tickets. Our medical director, they all read tickets daily to keep them up to date, make sure everything's falling in line for our peer review meetings. We had a peer review, the last quarter of 23 peer review meeting. We had a fire association meeting. Dr. Nelson come and spoke to the fire departments about some stuff he was wanting to do. He wanted to audit every fire department in the county just to make sure they were up to date on training, their Con Ed they're getting, their protocol updates, how they're documenting on medical calls, and all medical equipment, some of the responding units going to these calls, because we just want to make sure everybody's in line there. They've started that. They're actually doing 2 tonight. They're trying to do 2 every Monday night. Renee and Dr. Nelson's doing that. We had 2 ambulances had to be inspected for the North Carolina Office of EMS. They got inspected, no problems there. Met with Forsyth Tech about continuing education for the Stokes County Fire Departments and kind of worked out something with them. We're going to try to get our staff to help start teaching some of the Con Ed for the fire departments in the county, so they'll be teaching our protocols and the drug dosage stuff we do in Stokes County. Had to meet with the DEA about the inspection of the EMS narcotic inventory and paperwork we have to do whenever they call and ask, or if we move a new location. And that's really most of it. I don't believe I forgot much. Quarter 1 call volume was on the next page. It looks like 2018 incidents we were dispatched to, 735 standbys, and the standbys whenever the 2 trucks in King leave their area, the truck from Danbury goes to Sartown. You probably see ambulances sitting at intersections. That's what they're doing because them trucks in that area. We try to cover the whole county. That happened 735 times. And I just was looking at last year's quarter 1 call volume, and there's a big difference. Looks like we're up about 500 calls from last quarter in 2023. Run out of EMS units and had to rely on our county transport squads or other neighboring counties to provide transport 14 times. That's been an increase. Don't believe we had to actually have a transport done by anybody, but they come to our county line and stood by, or our fire departments went on standby at least 14 times. And that'd be Pine Hall Fire Department, Francisco Fire Department, and Pilot Mountain Rescue. And call volume by day of the week, looks like Sunday and Monday's the winter. That's our busiest days, with Wednesday being the slowest day. And average response time as a system for the whole county is 10 minutes and 52 seconds. And average transport time, taking someone to the hospital, is average of 30 minutes. And our facility destinations, transported 1,316 to facilities. Forsyth Medical Center around 700. Baptist Hospitals around 360, Life Right Community Hospitals about 80, and Northern Hospitals about 60, and Kernersville Medical Center 50. Then Moses Cone, Annie Penn, Clemens really go down less than 50 in the quarter. And we had no mass casualty incidents, which was a good thing. We had some mass gatherings and special event coverage. We did provide medical standby coverage for the rodeo that King had since December 30th until March 23rd. We did have a contract with them, and they wanted us to provide an ambulance this year with two personnel. All that went great. No issues with that. We had one tactical medical event. We assisted the Sheriff's Department. And the community paramedics report, there was a correction on the very first thing. It's high utilizers of the EMS system greater than 4. Instead of 2, it should have been 8. And a lot of their data is coming from their February 17th when they went live 24 hours. The number of calls they got dispatched to was 66. Total referrals within the EMS system and outside resources 61. And the total number of refusals they reviewed was 207 for quality management purposes. And the number of active cases as of the 31st of March was 7. And they completed 27 home visits. And they've transported to alternate destinations 10 times that quarter, and that could be anywhere as far as the behavioral health urgent care. They freed up an ambulance 10 times to keep from transporting to an emergency room when somebody that need to go to the emergency room. And they delivered 8 public education events, and they give out 50 boxes of Narcan to the public this quarter. So any questions on the EMS quarterly report?
Anybody have any questions, comments?
Brandon, how's the schedule working out with the community paramedics now? Is the coverage pretty much 24/7?
Yes, just 24/7 unless one of them takes off. We are starting to try to do some training with some of the part-time that's interested to maybe backfill days like they take off or vacation. They try to trade time in the same week, but there has been some days they're not here because either sick or something like that. But we try to our best to keep it 24/7.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a good report. Lots of good information. A lot to digest, to look at and re-look at. But yeah, good information. Y'all are busy.
Yeah, they're steady.
Brandon, I don't know if he cares if I tell the story, but I got a call him the other day because I got a call from somebody that was at another beauty shop that got a call that there was somebody in distress there, or something happened, and the lady was calling me because Lifestar showed up instead of one of our ambulances, and I couldn't answer that question as to why Lifestar versus one of ours. So I had to call Brandon to get how that's dispatched and how that works, and it apparently has a lot to do with how the call comes in and what they express as the situation when they call in. And I think the lady was just concerned if she called for something major, were she going to get Lifestar? What is it, Lifestar?
Yeah, Lifestar.
Yeah, or one of our ambulances. I said, you
Depends on how it's coded at the 911
I said, you
center.
better say you really need our paramedic, And so once I explained to them, the situation and how it's dispatched out and everything, she was fine. She just had a lot of curiosity about that. And then I was like, well, that's a good question. I'm curious too. I'll call Brandon and find out. But I didn't realize that they're utilized as well if it seems like a non-emergent, if it's not an extremely emergency situation.
Transports to doctor's appointments, discharges, and whenever they're not on the call, they are available if it's a routine call. But they're very short-staffed. They do a lot of the trying to get them out of the hospitals to make room for more people. So they're doing a lot of discharges back to the county.
Yeah, when my uncle was in there, and he had to wait. He was at Forsyth, and he literally had to go less than 2 miles to where his assisted living was, but there was no transport available, and it was going to be like 12 hours or something, and he was discharged but couldn't leave, because he needed to be taken by ambulance back to a nursing home. It was ridiculous, but yeah, very big shortage.
Mr. Mendenhall?
No, no questions. I think it's very good to report, Brandon. The way you broke everything down from average transport time. I mean, it was very good. Thank you. No questions.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Brandon, good report. What you said 500 increase in call volume out from this quarter that you're showing here till what other quarter did you?
First quarter of 2023.
Same quarter last year.
Yeah, that was kind of alarmed me a little bit. But it has been busy. Our call volume is going to continue to grow. It's doubled in 20 years. So.
On that 10 minutes, 52 seconds, is there a standard you compare that against your response time?
The state standard, they try to keep it, I think it's 8 point something. minutes.
Across the board,
Yeah,
yeah.
but that's going to be hard to do in a rural county.
Yeah,
I mean,
It's gonna be hard to do in Winston-Salem.
you can do it, but you're going
It's
to
really
put
hard
a lot
here.
more ambulances around, and it costs a lot of money to start doing that.
okay, is Clemens Medical Center, is that Forsyth Hospital out there or Baptist?
It's precise.
Forsyth, okay. All right, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Wood?
I'm good report.
I'm glad to see Dr. Nelson is doing that with fire departments.
Yeah, and it's to help
really
them,
good.
make
Yeah.
sure they're getting the
Right.
continuing education they need and protocols they're getting. So far, everything's been going good.
Good.
I'm glad, very glad we're doing that.
Just one quick question. So on you're on your own frequency, right? Your own channel from dispatch, or do you share?
We're combined with fire and EMS on the same channel.
I mean, is that, so with the increased volume, I mean, does that make sense?
No, it doesn't. I don't like it. I don't like it.
not like the answers, but
Oh, I knew what the answer was because it's not, it's just, it's too, it's,
Yeah, fire and EMS, we done it, it's been over a year ago. Everybody wanna try combining them. So we said, all right, we'll try it. It's helped the 911 center more than anything because they only have 3 people in there. They don't have to monitor 2 different channels. With them having an additional person, we'd already talked about this with Dr. Nelson whenever we met with all of them. And if they get an additional person in the comm center, we want to split them back up. But it does help the dispatchers from what they're telling us to monitor the radio traffic. Just having, because they only have 3 people there.
seeing what that, and the back end like that affects your response times too, because when it gets really busy in there, if you got one operator on one channel, and let's just say, even just one incident's going on, and you got multiple entities involved in that, then as other calls are coming in, you get busies.
Right.
So the quicker they get it out to you, and then of course when the protocol hits, they're triaging, they're going through to weed out, what's an emergency, kind of like what you were going through, and what's not. But again, and the only reason that I bring this up is that growth brings other responsibilities. So, we're all real happy about growth coming to our county. But we also have to understand that it changes the dynamics
A lot that goes with it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Great report, thank you.
And you want me to do the emergency management too? Okay. All right. The emergency management, just a few things. We updated the statewide mutual aid agreement that we do about every 2 years. We did a tabletop exercise with the Triad Healthcare Coalition with our local long-term care facilities and health department. That went really good. I think it opened some eyes to some of our nursing home leadership in the county. Had a pretty good attendance, just to be preparing if something like that was to ever happen, where we had to evacuate. Attended the M Forum in Davison County, one of the check boxes for the emergency management preparedness grant we do every year. Working with North Carolina EM to try to get our money from the grants from last year. We're having a hard time getting that. They got a brand new system at their physical department that pays bills, and it's a disaster, and they're working on it. I think y'all did receive something Tracy said this week, so they're working on it. And the director of North Carolina Emergency Management, Will Ray, he met with us March 8th. He wanted to set up equipment to see the equipment we had received on the last year's grant, see the new office. Very impressed. And he went back and we talked about the reimbursement, and I think he went back and lit some fires because there's a lot of stuff going on in the state government with that. Went to the North Carolina Emergency Management Conference in Cherokee the end of March. Me and Amber's been working with Duke Energy a little bit with the nuclear project at Blues Creek Steam Station. And we had a meeting with Red Cross about shelters in Stokes County, and a few responses. Some minor flooding events with some temporary road closed, some gas leaks. I did have the fire at Duke Energy a couple weeks ago. I think burnt 54 acres, and I got a meal from Red Cross to provide for the 50 firemen that was on scene, and we've used the message boards, been deploying them to fire departments for local events for traffic control and stuff like that. That's really all I have for emergency management.
Any other additional comments, questions?
None.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we will go to the discussion agenda. First up is the proposed purchase agreement for the future Greenbox site. Welcome back, Stuart.
Okay, I think from our last meeting and discussions on this, we wanted some numbers and some mileages, and so I got with the tax department and mapping, and they kind of put me some stuff together, and if y'all had a chance to kind of look over it or not. So if you have, we'll discuss. I'm good with it. I think it's a good thing, so I don't know where y'all kind of stand with it now, but
I'll speak up. I think it's good and needed. I think the location's fine for Gross. There's no quick fix for Warren Cove or King, and putting it, if you see that red dot on that map, I think it's a no-brainer. Even with the location to the, I went blank. Sizemore, thank you. I'm all for it.
I have some questions. So it's, I guess it's about 5.5 miles to Sizemore Road. And looking at those numbers for the transfer station that you gave us, it doesn't look like it's overuse is the problem there. It looks like it could actually handle more than it is. And my question is this, two things about Pinnacle. One, I know a lot of people use it that are not Stokes County residents. So if we did something to make sure everybody that's using it lives in Stokes County, that'd probably cut the number almost in half of who's going to Pinnacle. If we just did that alone, or since we just remodeled it, could we not put in more compactors there? And I mean, I'm not saying this is not going to be needed in the future at some point, but I'm just wondering if things at Pinnacle, because of the high number that we looked at, that's coming through there, if a couple things that would help that would be an additional compactor and a way to make sure the people are from Stokes County, I guess. My questions.
Right. To the first part of the question, the transfer station, those numbers there, we closed that site at 5, and so that's why we don't have a PM listed on it. So there's an additional 2 hours there that it's closed down. So that's why those numbers are probably a little less. I agree with you 100% on Pinnacle. If there's no way of knowing how many Surrey County people are coming there until we put something in place to figure that out. I could guess all day, but until I know for sure, and I want to do that. That's the next thing coming on.
Stuart, how do you guess? How are we guessing this Surrey County? That's what I want to know.
Well, we see, and from what I hear and what I see, a lot of people that lives real close to a Pinnacle there works either in Forsyth County, some of them may work in King. As they're coming down, they just stop and pitch their trash in. And that's just an assumption. I mean, I don't know. I don't have any hard facts that says, that there's 25 people or 100 people coming to Pinnacle. I don't know that. I mean, it's all guessing or assuming that that's the case. But I do know a lot of people in the mornings that's heading that way will stop and throw stuff in. And then a lot of them will, on Saturdays, they'll come from that direction, empty trash, and go back that direction. So I know we are getting some Surrey County folks, but that's on my radar. It's going to come. I want to do like Surrey did and put a sticker program in place, and we're not just going to do it. Say okay today. We're gonna draw this out to where we give a lot of the public notice of what we're doing and what we're going to go and what we're going to implement, and that sticker will have like a parcel ID number on it, which will tie it back to the tax office. That way, when they come in there, if that sticker's not on your window, then you've got to go. And if you empty the trash, then we can get the tag number, and there's a statute that we can enforce that. We can fine them for that. But that's coming, and I want to get all that in the works. But
I got a question about that real quick. Would it be a situation where, say, I showed up and I didn't realize that was in place, and the attendant is there, and I can show them my current driver's license and my Stokes County address? Would they be able to give me that sticker? I could get it right then.
The stickers will be issued through the tax listing. When we mail out your tax listing every year, it would be in there, and you would get 2 copies to put on your vehicles. And then so the next question would be, well, what about somebody that's renting? Well, if you have a rental house, you would get 2 stickers for your house, and then you would get, say, 2 for your rental house. That way you could give to your renters. And then if the renters move, then you could call back, and we would print you some more or get you some more stickers. So, but yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at on that part. But yeah,
Just because we purchase this property for a future site does not mean we're gonna. Because we're fixing to do our budget and everything, so that doesn't mean we're gonna rush out and start clearing it for this site right away or anything.
my plan was to get it purchased maybe next year, or maybe budget this year to clear it. Maybe next year, then budget to have the site worked, or maybe try to get a grant to buy the compactors. I want to set this site up just like we have at Pinnacle and Walnut Cove. That way we've got compactors, a circle drive. But we're not going to buy it and do it today. It's going to be a year or two, or like a 2 or 3 year period of getting it in place.
I agree. Planning for the future is important, and we do know that the Yadkin Township is growing. However, we do know a lot of those houses are in the city limits with free trash pickup. So, but that being said, it's just good to plan ahead.
Going back to your other thought too on Pinnacle, I would love to have I'd love to run 2 compactors at a time. I'd love to add 2 more up there. We're pulling 10 tons every other day from Pinnacle right now. 10 tons every other day. That's a lot of trash.
It is.
And it's going to get to the point to where, and Walnut Cove is real close. Walnut Cove is
I
8
know.
to 10, and it's going to get to the point that Pinnacle, I'm going to have to designate a man with a roll off just to keep an eye on Pinnacle and not spread him to our other roll off sites. It's not now, but I can see it coming. It's just the amount of people and it's just the volume of trash. The way it's just trash. It's unreal how it is. I mean, you wouldn't think trash would be such a hot topic or a need, but it is. It is.
I'd rather put it in the trash bins than throw it alongside the road.
Yes, I agree.
Brings up another problem.
Yeah, I agree. But
Can I throw in a couple things?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Well, personally, know this situation very well. I dumped trash in the Walnut Cove today, Stuart. I have one or 2 of your workers down there, and we talked a while. And, if I don't go to the transfer station on Sizemore Road, which is only 3 minutes from my house, I'm going through Walnut Cove like I was today. I drop my trash off at Walnut Cove. Talked to a couple of you workers that was out there helping a lady getting some trash out. Waiting, we talked. But it's real simple. I measured at we talked. You come out of Sizemore Road and turn right, going toward Quaker Gap, and you turn left on Friendship Road. It's 4.2 miles to the intersection at the top of the hill. Right before you get to White's Garage. I measured it off with my car the other day. If you go left out of Sizemore Road, go back, turn right on Hawkins Road and go that route, it's 5.3 miles. So you got 4.1 or 2 miles coming out, taking a right out of Sizemore and going up and turning left on Friendship, and that takes you to the intersection there. And then if you got White's and White's Garage sitting down there, and I also know that I have been up to the Pinnacle site. Do you know how far it is from Pinnacle's site to Surrey County line?
I've never measured that, Ronnie.
Measure it. It's very close.
Oh yeah, I know.
And
Not
they
just
are
that
rolling
big.
in out of Pilot Mountain, right there where the antique store is, and coming off of 66 if you come up 268 into Pilot at the Shell Station and coming back. It's only a couple miles there, so they are really utilizing it a lot. So we got two situations. We got just a little 4 miles from the Sizemore Road site to this site. Is King growing and going to continue to grow? Absolutely. But we need to work through it, as you said. I'm glad you made the analysis that we don't have to do it this year, because I think we can really narrow down, because I'm gonna tell you, one of COVID's used a lot. I looked at this and I was down there today, and I think it's 5 people there before I could pull out after talking to your workers. I just personally think this, especially with our budget coming up, we all know this is gonna be I'm just gonna come out and say, a pretty tough budget year. I mean, if any of you want to disagree with me, everybody has a right to say, their own opinion, but I think we're gonna have our hands full with a budget. This is $25,000 an acre, which would be $50,000. I think we certainly, as you said, can hold off purchasing the land for a year or two and making sure that we have a way to, as Commissioner Cox was asking about, how to make sure who is using the Pinnacle site. I know it. I go up there. And that's what I was talking about, the transfer station. I personally took my car, drove both areas straight, took a right out of it and took a left, drove to the site, know what the mileage is. So my own personal opinion is, I appreciate you being proactive. Ever since we've had you on, you have been proactive in everything. I just personally think this one needs to be put off for a year or two. That's all. That's all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Morris? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would respectfully disagree that we don't need to put it off, and that we do try to purchase the land. I remember this process we went through trying to find additional sites and ended up back with the same one. And this is a very difficult thing to do. The more people that move in, the more crowded, the more likely it's going to be hard to identify an additional site that has zoning, that supports the zoning. So I would be in favor of moving to purchase the land. Then the timing of when we clear it and all that, I would be able to discuss that and put that off or whatever. But if we purchase the land, it's not going to get any cheaper. And if we decide not to use it, we can sell it for a profit, most likely. But if we don't, you know, get ahead of things like this, then I figure we'll just be going in circles again like we did the last time, and not be able to find a place that, I don't know what the ideal location is, but there probably is no ideal location. But I can bet you it's going to be hard to zone it wherever it's at.
Well, that's,
So I would be in favor of at least taking that first step. I don't see any downside. I don't see any risk associated with it.
that's kind of the thing here. It's zoned. You know, the thing about being zoned and somebody saying, "I'll sell it." That's what we, you know. In the area too, I was kind of, you know, I was looking at this and figuring from Germantown, from the county line at Germantown, and then from Walnut Cove, I was hoping it would kind of pull some of the Walnut Cove. It would actually, you know, relieve some of that stress from there and Pinnacle. Like you say, if we can get it purchased and then, you know, a year or two down the road, run the numbers at Pinnacle once we get a system in place up there and see. But that's why we have these discussions, and that's why, you know, we vote on, you know, we look at it and talk about it, and we decide what's best. So.
I think that, I think we have to look ahead. I think it makes sense in terms of zoning. You've answered our questions that were submitted the last meeting. And it doesn't have to be done this budget year. And I think that after, if the purchase is made, and after that, and that's when another phase of the plan comes in of how we complete it. And at the same time, you still follow just what you're doing right now, tracking, you know, where the people are taking the trash. And again, it goes back to this. It's just the more people that live in Stokes County, or let's just say the more people that live near Stokes County, it's more trash. And I know what it all comes down to money. But at some point in time, we've got to get at least try to plan in advance. You know, if people quit moving to Stokes County, or they quit using the trash sites that we have for them, then we adjust. We relook at it. Anybody else got any further comments?
One more question. When's the offer for this price and everything expire? How much time?
Technically, it probably already has, so I'll probably have to get another agreement and have to rework the agreement if we proceed to move forward. And if we did proceed to move forward, I would love to be able to put it on action just so I can get it signed and get the landowner's signature. The landowner's already signed it on the first one, but I feel like we probably should go back and get Ty to redo it with new dates and stuff.
Gonna throw this out there. You know where this is, right? Across from where White's Garage is, where the salvage yard is. So I don't think you'd be able to sell it and make a profit on it if it don't work out, because it's not a area anybody wants to live in.
They may want it for some other purpose. I hadn't seen any land going down in Stokes County.
The one good thing is that it is zoned for what purpose that it would be used for, because mind y'all, we're still sitting on land in Pinnacle that we can't sell that was bought for a Greenbox site. So.
We're not going to open that can of worms.
I just don't want to be sitting on
Have y'all rode by White's Garage, right? I did this week. I mean, I know one son made that statement. You're not gonna sell and make a profit off that. That's okay, that's each person's opinion. Rick, that's not in any way against you. I'm just
Yeah,
saying, in
it's
my
just how
opinion.
it is.
I rode by there this week.
I do think we need to push the sticker thing because if you go past Pinnacle, I live there. You go past Pinnacle Elementary School, bam, you're in Surrey County. You cross New 52, bam, you're in Surrey County.
That's right.
So if nobody from Surrey County is using our dumpsters, they're not smart. I would be if I lived there.
And this is probably another conversation, but there's a lot of stuff that's gonna happen when, and I'm not saying do or don't do it, but I'm saying it's gonna have to be well thought out because you're gonna have a lot of confrontations.
Yes.
And you got people working there that you're gonna have to trust to take care of those situations. And then it's he said, she said. I know we do, I think, have some cameras, don't we, at the Greenbox sites? But I don't take this the wrong way, but I'm sure that there's blind spots and there's probably no audio. I'm not, in other words, I'm trying to say, if we're gonna do stuff, let's just do it right.
They need body cameras, that's what you're saying.
Yes. Thank you.
We knew where you were going with this. Oh, man.
Anyway. I don't want to put our employees on an island somewhere. You know, they're making no money. They get the part-timers, they get no benefits. And we're going to put them on the front lines on the battlefield.
I've been bringing my trash here twice.
I agree. And I know Surrey, I've talked to Surrey a couple different times over this, and they had a time with it to begin with, but it's slowly turned into a whole lot better of a thing. And
Nothing new people like to talk about than the Greenbox.
I know.
On Facebook.
You try to think and plan and try to look ahead, and it's
I know. I'm not saying anything against it as far as I know we have to plan ahead and everything, but I just don't want to see us with some land we can't use again is the only thing. And I mean, I don't think you'll run into that because it is already zoned for that purpose, but you know, it is what it is over there. I don't know.
Any other last things before? Got to get a motion on moving this to the action agenda for another meeting, right? Or do you need the action in tonight?
You don't have the updated agreement, do you?
no, I'm gonna have to get time to
We
do
don't
that.
have the money
I just hate
prepared
keep pushing the landowner.
Okay,
Because
so
we don't have the funding prepared for either, a budget amendment or anything prepared.
okay,
or anything
all
like
right.
that either.
So
Action, if you're gonna do action, next time would be preferable.
okay. Or do we want to leave it? I prefer a vote tonight to move it to action to whenever you coordinate with Amber to whenever you get the.
Will that vote give me the go ahead to get Ty to redo the contract and get the county signature and the landowner?
As long as no one, if it does get moved to action, as long as no one changes their votes to where it's a no.
Can you just do all that on a consensus and do action next time on it? Consensus to have time to do it.
Well, we don't know though. I mean, I don't think Commissioner Mendenhall is for the.
Okay.
And what do you feel?
Well, I think it's going to be, I mean, I'm okay with going ahead and purchasing the land for it. I think we'll have to put it off as far as the money to actually do the clearing and the site for later, but, you know, for later budgets.
You're still in favor?
Yes.
As long as we're doing them stickers at Pinnacle, I'm in favor.
Stickers are coming. I think we'll do it countywide. That's what you're
It's
talking.
gonna be countywide,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Get the employees help.
You got some Virginia trash in Lawson.
I mean, we
I know
can
that
put
for a
some,
fact, too.
contract with some off-duty deputies. Few weeks up there.
Okay, so,
Well, it sounds like there's at least 4 that's
Yeah.
ready to go, so I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not gonna hold you back.
okay, all
I
right.
mean.
So we'll do a consensus to move it to action whenever y'all see fit. Whatever meeting. And don't go nowhere, Stuart. You're up again.
You're having a busy night, Stuart.
Agreement for River Street equipment storage at the old prison camp.
We're gonna be a frequent flyer on this meeting.
Water side. Okay, I'm sorry. See, I'm even jumping ahead of myself again.
Very water.
Okay, let's do the Danbury water and sewer rate increase request.
So just due to, labor, supplies, everything has gone up. There's not been a rate increase since 2016 was the last time that the rate was effective. I don't know if there was an increase then or not, but it was effective back to 2016. So, and due to labor, supplies, everything being much higher now, I was recommending doing a rate increase for the water and sewer here in Danbury. And I compared the town of Walnut Cove. We were under Walnut Cove and King, just a few dollars. So recommended raising the rate from 28. I think y'all should have the paperwork, from 28 per month on the water to 32, and that includes the first 3,000. As was before, and then $7.25 per 1,000 gallons. The proposed rate increase would be $8.25 per 1,000. Availability fee from 14 to 16, and then the hospital has its own rate, and that currently is $7.70 per 1,000, and raising that to $8.50 per 1,000. Institutional rates leave those the same. Tap fees, raising those from $1,500. At $1,500, we're losing money at that, including meter, labor, and everything to put it in. So, propose raising those to $2,500, and then you can see the other fees there at the bottom for us. All that would stay the same: owner deposit, renter, reconnection fees. And then on the sewer. Sewer would go from $17 to $20 per month, includes the first 3,000 gallons. Currently at $6 per 1,000 used over, would raise that to $7. Availability fee 14 to 16. The hospital right now currently is $7.70 still per 1,000, and raising that to $8.50, which would be on the sewer side as well. Institutional stays the same. Tap fee to 25 from 15 on the sewer.
Questions, comments?
Stuart, what's that unauthorized tap? I don't remember.
Sometimes normally you won't see this, but there has been people known to just go out and dig and tap in themselves and try to get what they can.
So you fine them $2,000 for doing that? Okay, that's what that is.
Because the cost of the tap's going to be $25. If we find that and then have to go back, then they're pretty much paying for the tap.
So these enterprise funds are supposed to pay for themselves. So are we trying to get this one where it's doing that, or?
Water's paying for itself.
Okay.
Sewer, we're lacking a little in sewer, and I've got a lot of good info on that I'd like to talk about, but I just don't know if I'd rather do that in closed session, if we could.
Are the two of them added together? Is that what it has to be? If you add the two together, sewer and water?
They're separate, ain't they, Lisa?
They're separate.
Water.
The question though is if you add the two together, is that what has to pay for itself, or if one's under and one's over, as long as you pay for the?
I don't.
I think it is separate, Rick.
Okay.
That was when Kelly did the audit.
Mm-hmm.
She was talking about the high quick ratio,
the sewer
Mhm.
was not as liquid.
Okay.
And I also have an FPIC response concerning with the LGC staff about the sewer.
Okay.
Part of it.
Okay. That answers my question for now.
3 letters should take care of that before LGC.
I don't have any other questions. I'm in favor of it.
I'm good.
Do you want this, 'cause I think we have a consensus of approval to move to action tonight, or do you just want it some other time?
I'm good tonight or the next meeting, either one.
When will this go in effect?
July 1st.
So let's just go ahead and move it to action tonight.
I agree.
I think so too. All right, so next is the agreement for River Street equipment storage at the old prison camp.
So I guess River Street's been utilizing this building that we have and the lot that we have over there for some time now, and there never was an agreement in place. So I talked to some of the River Street folks about a month ago, and they were wanting to get something in place for them and for the county. It kind of protects them and us. So I met with them, and we kind of went over some things, and I think we've got pretty much all of it in the agreement. So if the board's good with that, we'd like to get that in place, and that way it kind of, there's some stuff that they're going to do, particularly the building that they're using now, the open pit. They're going to get it covered to keep anybody from falling in if somebody wants to go in there and fall in. And pretty much it's just basic lease stuff. I think $1 per year for a term of 5 years, and then commencing to release, given the option to release after 5 years.
Have you covered if they have an employee that gets hurt, they foot the bill? Not the county.
I think it is in the agreement.
It's an agreement.
It is in it.
I believe it is. Let me double check.
I'm sure that Ty put that in.
I'm sure he did too. It was fine.
I'm fine
Yeah, I
with it.
saw it in there when I was reviewing it.
Yeah, I think it's in here. Let me check.
Yeah, number 9.
Yeah.
Stuart, I
Okay, all right.
have one
Great.
question.
I kept going right by it.
I have one question, Mr. Chair. They spent a lot of money over there before on this building and the fencing and so forth, fixing things up or whatever. And does this prohibit them from spending additional money to fix more stuff up if they want to?
No, it's
I just didn't see it in there or anything to address it specifically.
there's an option I read somewhere that they're supposed to get permission from us to do any grounds, anything like that.
Okay.
Building wise and doing the ground, and they do anyway. They call me now if they've got something they want to do. They called here a month ago and they said, hey, would the county mind if we clean these trees? And pretty much just to do with the demo of the prison. A lot of their stuff had a lot of fiber and a lot of cable rolls and equipment that was in the way that needed to be moved. And they're like, hey, well, we can move this over here if y'all don't mind if we clean these trees and add some gravel and which we were good with it. I told them, to proceed.
Okay.
And that's in the agreement. That's number 4, alterations. Lessee shall not, without first obtaining the written consent of the lessor, make any alterations, additions, or improvements.
Okay.
I think it's to cover us as the county and River Street as well.
Want to move to tonight, action?
Good with it if you all want.
Have a consensus?
Yes.
Okay. We'll move that to action as well, Amber. And then next up is the draft policy for food trucks operating on county property. Do you want to make any kind of statement first before we start discussion, or?
It was moved from discussion last time to the discussion on this meeting again, just to, I guess, give local business owners and food truck owners extra time to review it and come up with any concerns or suggestions or additions or anything like that. I haven't received any. I don't know if you all have. but I have not received any since last meeting.
I've got a couple of questions about it. Have you had an instance of somebody wanting to set up, without asking permission? That's not usually an issue, is it?
No. No, the only thing I'll say is I know that, and Tori may can speak to this better than I can, but I think occasionally, and especially in the summer, I think a taco truck and some things set up at Moortalk Park, which is technically county property. But I mean, it's never been a problem per se, but not here at the government center or anything. No.
So if a taco truck just rolls up there on the weekends and hasn't asked permission and hadn't went through this process, we would just tell them to leave. We're not gonna let them stay, right?
Yeah, they would just need to fill out. Yeah, right. They just need to fill out that application first, so we can make sure have them on file and schedule them to come at a different time.
So, was it an issue last year that food trucks showed up at Moortalk Park on the weekends? I mean, has that been a thing? I mean, I'm fine with inviting them to come up there if that's what we want to do on the weekends, as long as they meet all this criteria.
My family's come to lunch, come to 1094 Wood Road.
There is a regular ice cream cart that rolls around at Moortalk Park on weekends.
So this don't address carts.
It wouldn't be. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, that would be. It's an ice cream cart, so it's not inspected
like
by
it's
environmental
staying
health.
there, it's just going through.
Well, they're there for a number of hours.
Oh, okay. Well, that should fall under this. I would think.
We can probably just we can adjust the language so it's not just food trucks; it's any other type of.
Yeah, and
level
there were two
accessory or.
People who filled out the survey that were not environmental health inspected, because ice cream trucks and donut trucks are inspected by the Department of Ag.
Well, that's interesting.
So you would just need to make sure that the policy, from the legal standpoint, that they have to obtain whatever permissions are permitted through the appropriate authority.
When you looked at other counties' policies on this, which I'm sure you probably did you find that it was similar to this? Or from what I understand from some people that do food trucks, that most counties just want them to, they verify their health inspection status and they want to see the certificate of insurance. Those are the two main things that other counties evidently require. So what I'm questioning is, what would be an appropriate time that somebody would have to submit the articles of incorporation? That seems like a lot to ask for. I mean, but when would that be? It says if applicable, but how would the person applying know when it's applicable? I guess is my question.
That was some language used in another policy that we looked at, so I mean, we could always be removed. I did send out a email to an economic development listserv asking for counties to contact me or send me examples of any county property food truck policies, but the only people that responded were from Rockingham County, and theirs were specific to the city of Reedsville and the town of Eden, just not necessarily government property, but on the city and town properties around the businesses. We did.
I'd be fine with removing that if y'all wanted to, but it seems like a lot to ask people to submit.
Yeah, agree.
I think we got a consensus on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, the health department has to inspect them anyway, and they have to, and I'm sure they randomly, or when it, just like they would a restaurant, they inspect them, and they have to provide a schedule, to my understanding, to the health department of where they're gonna be and when and stuff, so. I think it's regulated is all I'm saying, pretty already, has a lot of, the ratings have to be displayed on the windows and stuff like that, so, I just want to have a policy. I'm fine with the policy, just not to overcomplicate the process, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Are you wanting it to apply to not only like a standard food truck, but other, like the ones that would be permitted by Department of Ag as well?
Yes.
So I think you do need to adjust the language, because a lot of it, I think it's a good basis. But I think a lot of it is contemplating a typical food truck, not one that's permitted by Department of Ag. Because that would be like baked goods, ice cream, anything that's not like cooked to order. So we may want to make some adjustments on it from that end.
I mean, I'm fine with it. Other than that, I'm just trying to simplify it maybe a little bit and take out the redundancy of what they've already have processed that they already have to go through to be permitted anyway. But I do agree, you definitely need to know that they have an insurance and their health inspection status is verified for sure. So maybe we need to revamp it just a little and let Jennifer or Ty look at it.
Yeah,
again
just from the enforcement perspective, I think it'd be from a, well, not from an enforcement, but from a non-discrimination point of view, I think that we probably need to put a time period where they have to submit all the required documentation in the application, like a certain number of days before they're wanting to come up, if that makes sense, just so that we say you have to submit it within like 10 days before you're wanting to operate. Is that?
I think the idea was that the 2-page application is that the food truck would fill that out and it would be on file for a set amount of time or until we.
Yeah, we said 2 years.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm sorry, I misread that. That was my fault.
That way, food trucks from outside of the county could also apply to.
Yeah,
That
that
did
way
send
they
us
have
to
it on
Ty.
file.
Do you think that it would be a good idea to have a minimum amount of time though, as well? Like that you could keep it on file for 2 years, but that they don't need to apply any closer to that proposed event than like to give the county an adequate amount of time to review.
Well,
And
yeah, I mean,
verify
if they're
credentials.
planning to come up here and set up, you would want a time frame, I think, to make sure they get everything in and it has time to be looked at. For
Oh, yeah.
sure.
Do you think like 2 weeks or something like that would be
Prior
like,
to.
no less than 2 weeks before their
Set
first
date.
first
Just agreed upon
proposed
date,
event or
yeah.
something? Yeah.
Because they have to agree upon a date with
Yeah.
someone here.
Yeah.
That's good. And then, in the terms of that ice cream cart that goes to Moortalk, the public works folks down there, maybe they would have a copy of this to hand to the guy if he ever comes. I mean, and then as long as he fills it out, he'd just have to get on the calendar.
This is, I mean, not now, but I think, especially when we revamp, when the bridge gets reconstructed and stuff. I mean, my thing, especially at the park, I mean, why would we just let people come in for free?
Exactly. That's
Do
something we gotta
that?
think
Why wouldn't
about.
we permit that? And they would have to, whether it be through Danbury or through us or some. I mean,
Right.
why would we let food trucks or donut trucks or ice cream trucks come on the county property for free? I'm not saying doing it now. I'm just saying in the future we need to look at that, because I think Moortalk Park will have a lot of growth opportunities after the construction is done.
Yeah, that's something we'll have to talk about in the future, I think.
And then the only other question I had is, in the policy, it needs to be in there, somebody needs to be in charge of it. We gotta have someone to point the finger at.
Well, it seems like there would be some component of the person that's in charge of scheduling, but also the health department's already in charge of.
Well, plus two though is that we're saying, hey, you gotta do it every 2 years, so trust me, most of them aren't gonna probably come in unless, you need somebody in
The environmental health.
yeah, needs to, review it every once, look at the file or come up with a system, flag it, make a computer program or something to where it notifies somebody that, hey,
There's going to have to be some communication, because it says this policy allows the setup of 2 food trucks per month for each county property unless otherwise approved by the county manager's office, which would mean that Sounds like to me the health department and the county manager will have to work together. Unless, do you see that, Amber, in the agreement?
Yes, sir, I do.
So, sounds like to me there's going to have to be some cooperation.
Just makes, y'all figure that out, but we just need to know that someone's, we're just not doing it, and then 10 years later when something happens, then we find out what happened, why, and so forth.
Thank you, Tori.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
You just want to move it to action for the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
The changes that we talked about.
We can do that.
The next up is the Tourism Development Authority Board appointments, and our county manager, Amber, will present.
So on February 12th, the Board of Commissioners passed the resolution that authorized the occupancy tax, which also created the Tourism Development Authority. And the TDA is actually in charge of spending the money and approving what that tourism money goes to once the county receives it, and kind of directs the actions of the occupancy tax and how that tourism money is spent. So after the resolution's approved, we did advertise the vacancies on the website for all 7 open positions to the newly created board, and we did receive applications for all slots, all 7, and the below applicants are being recommended for consideration by appointment to the Board of Commissioners. So we received 7 applications for 7 slots, so that worked out good, and I'll just go down the list and read those very quickly. So 7 voting members of the TDA, 3 positions for open members that must be affiliated with the business of collecting the tax in the county. So those who are involved in, bed and breakfast or VRBO, Airbnb, those who actually have those overnight rentals. So we had applications for and nominations for Katie Tedder, Shelley Rogers, and Elizabeth O'Neill. And then 4 positions that must be currently active in the promotion of travel and tourism in the county. And each incorporated municipality nominates a member for the County Board of Commissioners to consider and approve. So Terry Fowler was nominated by the City of King, Dave Hoskins nominated by the Town of Danbury, David Willard nominated by the Town of Walnut Cove, and I'm proposing that Michaela Sawyers be considered to be the Stokes County Board of Commissioners nominee, because the Stokes County Board of Commissioners also gets a nominee, and she is currently a county employee and works under Janice and Soil and Water. So can't say enough good things about her, so I'm recommending her. Unless you have somebody else. We didn't have any other applications.
She's
so.
great. Yeah. So, can we just say at this point, we had 7 voting positions, and there's 7 people here, which works out really nicely, 7 and 7, to close nominations, and next week, I guess the next meeting we could poll them.
Yeah, that sounds good.
We have a consensus for that.
Do we need to nominate these?
Yeah, were you doing that, Commissioner Mendenhall?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess a second then.
Second.
Okay, thank you. And then we'll
All,
just-
any discussions, any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Caught up, Amber? Can I go on?
Yes.
I know it's a lot.
Okay.
All right, the last item is scheduling a joint meeting with the City of King. Just a brief history on this, at the Habitat for Humanity 25th anniversary that I was at, I was talking to the mayor, and I told the mayor that I would like to get with him and the board. Originally, it was like just the chairs, and then he was receptive, and then he let me know just last week that they actually voted on it on the King City Council, their last meeting, and what they would like is to have a full joint meeting with us. And I originally told the mayor that we'd be willing to come to King to do the meeting, And I still, agree with it, even though it's the whole board coming, I still think that we could go to King, we should go to King. And the focus of the meeting with them was just so we can hear from them, they can hear from us, how we can support one another. So whether it's, financially, whether it is maybe joint strategic planning, I think just better communications, and it gives us an idea as well as them is kind of where we're going down the road, in the next 5 years. And even to the point that, like we talked about earlier, there's some developments that are going on outside the county. They're not in the King City limits, but a lot of them are doing the developments there because the city of King has things to offer, whether it be, restaurants, grocery stores, festivals. So I think that we just need to be on the same sheet of music at the same time when it comes to budgeting and strategic planning. I don't know if anybody has any questions about it, or?
I think it's a good idea.
Good.
I do.
I'm good with it.
May expect to have the same thing with the other two municipalities
And
at some point in the future.
I'm good with that. I mean, I'm good with that. But I think King's the biggest city in our county, and I think we start there and go that route. So if we can get a consensus, just to ask the manager to coordinate with the King City manager to get a time and date, and then kind of work through the logistics of everything.
And work a joint agenda.
Yeah, I think so. All right, now we go to the action agenda. First up is the Health Department tobacco and vape use policy.
I make a motion we approve.
Second.
Any questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the proposed maintenance of effort, the MOE budget request.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the JCPC fiscal year 24-25 funding allocation request. Can I entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions, discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the Danbury Fireman's Relief Fund Board appointment request.
Make a
And
motion we approve.
This is going to be a
All we have to do is poll on this one.
poll. Yeah. All right, so we'll start with Commissioner Mendenhall.
I'll start out. Burns.
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 All right, so we'll close the polling.
We added the Danbury water and sewer rate
Yeah,
increase.
so I was looking for my notes.
You're fine.
Make a motion that we approve the water and sewer rate increases. And that was for Danbury, right?
Mhm.
Make a motion to approve that.
Keith, I think you did second, right?
Yes.
Okay, any further discussion, questions? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
And then the last thing is the agreement for the River Street equipment storage.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, before we go into closed session, I'll let you read the thing, but then I want to take about a 10-minute break in between when you get done. Okay.
To consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A3, and to consider the initial employment or appointment of an individual to any office or position other than a vacancy in the Board of County Commissioners or any other public body, or to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, and fitness of any public officer or employee other than a member of the Board of Commissioners or of some other public body, pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A6.
At this time, we're going to adjourn for 10 minutes before we go in.
Need
You
a
get a
motion.
motion.
We need a motion.
Sorry, yeah, okay, all right.
We got a motion from Commissioner Cox to enter, and I second it.
Any further questions, discussions? All in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion carries. We adjourn for 10 minutes. This time I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Any other further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.
I just don't like that sound.